Happy New Day, Reverend.
How feels each and every one of you this wonderful, lovely new day?
Awake and ready.
How feels wonderful, beautiful, handsome, enlightened, prosperous, and fantastic you this wonderful, lovely new day?
Awake and ready.
I welcome all of you with love to today's lesson sermon. Exactly a year ago, my beloved spiritual preceptor, Roy Eugene Davis, founder and spiritual director of Center for Spiritual Awareness International, headquartered in Lakeland, Georgia, USA, left his body to embrace the great oneness. I knew this time will come. I have discussed it. I have thought about it. I have contemplated it. But when the news got to me, I was so jolted to the foundations of my life. But I stood firm because I knew his body was no more, but his consciousness will ever remain with me. I met Roy Eugene Davis during the Christmas of 1977. I traveled from my country in Ghana and went to him, knocked on his door and said, "Sir, my name is Samuel. I am from Ghana and I have come to study with you." He looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "You are welcome." I stayed with him. I studied under his feet and was trained and eventually was ordained by him and sent as his personal representative to Africa. And this is what has made me what I am today. Today, I would like to share with you one of the basic things that we need to know on the spiritual path, and that is attunement. Focusing and realizing our oneness with life. My study and realization of attunement came during my study with Roy Eugene Davis. I remember very well, I was in the book room of the warehouse of CSA headquarters, where we normally mailed the Truth Journal and other books. And Roy walked into the room and said to me, "Samuel, I will be having my first public program of the year in Atlanta, and your training will begin from that day. And what I want you to do is that I'd like for you to watch me." So, on the appointed day, I sat in the front row and focused my entire attention on him. And midway through his presentation, I found out that my attention was so focused on him that it was as if my mind and his mind became one, and I could intuit. I could know exactly what he was going to say next. That was a beautiful and new experience for me. And so I made it a point from that day onwards to always sit in the front row whenever he gave a lecture. The other experience which helped me with attunement was this. I heard Roy once say, and I also read it from his book, that his spiritual preceptor, Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote the autobiography of a yogi, that spiritual classic, said to his disciples, tune in to me and you will be able to tune in to God. I was, during my early months studying with Roy, full of questions. I would always run to him with this or that question, and sometimes all he would ask me is, Samuel, what do you think? What is your answer to this question? You know, what is your idea about the question you are asking? And I will express myself and say, yeah, you're not wrong. You're doing okay. But one day, he had traveled to Japan on a lecture tour for Taniguchi, Masaharu Taniguchi's organization, Seicho no Ie, The Truth of Life. And it had escaped my mind, and I had this question which couldn't wait. So I left my house and I went through some woods through to the fish pond at CSA, walking towards the meditation hall, when it suddenly dawned on me that Roy had traveled. And I said to myself, how am I going to live with this question? Disappointedly, I turned back. But when I got to the middle of the woods, there came suddenly the answer in this realization. Roy is not the body. Roy is a state of consciousness. The body is just a mere convenience. And if you can tune in, if you can meditate, if you can hone in your meditation and meditate correctly, you will be able to tune in to that state of consciousness, and that will guide your life. And so it helped me to resolve to meditate more deeply and frequently. And as I did that, I found out that one, most oftentimes I would do things that Roy had not actually instructed me verbally to do, but which was expected of me. And whenever he would see me, he would look at me and nod, as if I know what you are doing, just keep on doing it. And secondly, my life flowed in grace. Paramahansa Yogananda, the guru of Roy Eugene Davis, brought the teaching of Kriya Yoga to the West. Now, many people who hear of the word Kriya Yoga think maybe it's a new religion or a strange teaching. But Kriya Yoga comes from the same root as karma, which is action. But Kriya Yoga is righteous actions, kriyas, and yoga, which leads to the realization of our oneness with God. So, righteous actions which lead to the realization of our oneness with God is Kriya Yoga. There are 3 steps in the teaching of Kriya Yoga. The first is self-discipline. Self-discipline means training oneself to focus on the ideal. And what is the ideal? The ideal is awakening in truth. And therefore, the second step in Kriya Yoga is study and proper study and examination of the nature of life. What am I? Where have I come from? Why am I here? And where do I go from here? These are questions that each and every one of us needs to answer for him or herself. We need to realize this. The third step is surrender of the ego, the sense of separate existence, to embrace our oneness with God. And that leads to the perfect realization and also our total dependence upon God. When this happens, no matter what life brings at you, no matter what challenges confront you, nothing will shake you, because you know that you are in God, that God is your life, that you are a perfect expression of God, and this leads one to be an overcomer. And once we know how to handle life, we attain freedom from ignorance of truth. My dear ones, this is what Roy lived by. This is what he taught. And this is what those of us who train with him have come to embrace. The Master Jesus said that whoever hears this teaching, I will liken him to a person who built his house on a rock. And that rock is the truth. And when the storms of life came ravaging, he stood still, unshaken, because his foundation is on truth, which is God. But when one lives a life of ignoring God's presence, then when the storms of life come, one is shaken and uprooted and falls flat. Today, we remember Guruji for the great example he has set for us. I implore upon each and every one of you to continue in the teaching of this great way of righteousness, which leads to life. And may the grace of God, Christ, and our spiritual preceptors continue to bless each and every one of you, now and always. Om. Peace. Amen.